Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're jumping right into the video, and we're starting off using this wood plank that we got from the Dollar Tree store, and we're going to be cutting off the pumpkin right below the pumpkin part. Now if you decide to cut that part off like I am right here, I ended up using scissors, but if you have a box cutter would work great. I just happened to use a pair of really dull scissors, and it split the wood and it gave it some splinters. So right here you'll see that I'm sanding it down, and I'm sanding it as flat as I can possibly get it without sanding it too much. And now that side is the side that we'll be using for the back, and then this side right here is what we're going to work on in a minute. But to start it off, we're going to take off the jute hanging, and we're going to fill the holes using the Dollar Tree spackle. We'll set that aside and we'll let that to dry. So while that's drying, or right here, we pick out some paper, and this paper pack I got from Michael's. They had a deal where it was buy two of these packs, get one, or no, buy one, get two free. So they were $19, I believe. Could have been $15, but you buy two, you get one free. I mean, oh my goodness, if I can do this right. Buy one, get two free. Now I knew right away that I was going to use that floral paper, but I wanted to show you guys this design. You see the face in there? These smaller packs of paper I got at Joann's a couple of weekends ago. They were only $1. So if you happen to be looking online, look through the paper packs. Sometimes you get really good deals going on. So once I realized that this for sure is going to be the paper that I wanted to use, I set that aside and allowed it to dry down. So while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and move on to the bigger plank. With the bigger plank, we're using the Waverly's antique wax, and we're going to use just cover the whole surface, front and back and sides, with the wax. Next, we'll grab the varnish from the Waverly in the matte varnish, because this is going to be sitting flushed against the wall. I don't want a chance for any of the color to rub off on the walls, because the walls are a lighter color, and while placing this against the walls you have a chance of rubbing off some of the color onto it. So I just want to do an extra seal on this just to make sure, because this is going to be gifted out to a family member who wanted something like this made for them. Now right here we are in the Cricut design space, and the words that we are going to be spelling out is faith, hope, and love. And in between those we'll be using little motorcycles in between the words. Now right here you'll see that I unlocked it, and I'm just sizing it to the size that I want. The plank is going to be 20 inches long. So I divided the 20 into 3, and then I left a little extra space, enough for the little motorcycles to fit with spacing in between. So that's how I figured out the spacing of the letters and how big I wanted them to be. Now right here you'll see that I'm resizing them, all the letters, all the words, to match one size. They are going to be 5.5 inches tall and 3.14 inches long. Now I know it says, or it looks different, and you'll see that I'm trying to compare the two, but right here I'm just welding all of the words together. That way they are one cut instead of multiple cuts when you do the Cricut. But right here, you see how well it fits together? But do you see how small the H and the O is compared to the F and all the other letters? I thought it was kind of weird to me. So then right here, you'll see that the spacing between the O and the V and the E are spaced in between. So I go through and I combine them all together, and then I weld all those together. That way they're all one cut as well. Now right here, I'm looking for a specific image, which will be the motorcycle image right here. And then I size that down to size. Once I get it down to size, I'm just going to duplicate it. That way I don't have to downsize it again. It'll just be right there. And then I'm doing it on a mat, a longer mat. I think it's a 6x12 with premium vinyl, permanent premium vinyl by Cricut. And then I adjust the mat right here. That way I can get two words onto one vinyl versus doing separate cuts. If I had the smart vinyl, I probably could have done it all on one cut, but because I didn't have the smart vinyl in white, I didn't have enough of it. That's what I had on hand, so that's what I'm using. The longer mat will help it to be less wasteful in vinyl, if that makes sense, versus doing smaller cuts and wasting more vinyl. Right here, I am just saving the project. That way, if I need it in the future, or if I wanted to recreate it in the future with another project, then I can just pull up that file and it will be saved. Now, I did have to cut the word love twice. The mat that I'm using is from Amazon, and it's a knockoff brand, so the mats, they're not cut right, they're not aligned right, I want to say. So you have to watch the placement of how you place the vinyl on there. And when I didn't place it far enough up that the first cut, I cut half of the L off, and then when I placed it too much, it cut half of the E off. So instead of doing a whole nother cut, I end up combining the E onto the LOV that's cut on the second cut. That's good, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now right here, I'm using the Cricut's transfer tape. That's all I have on hand. If you have something else to use, that's perfectly fine. This is my tool that I use, which is from 143 Vinyl. And it's going to take a little bit more effort because I reuse my transfer tapes. So the transfer tapes aren't that sticky. I've had quite a few incidents where I've used transfer tape, brand new transfer tapes onto painted projects, and it pulls up the paint even though the paint is dried. So with that, I tend to try to put the vinyl on my pans and try to not get it as strong of adhesive as it normally is. But because this is a stain, you are pretty good to use a brand new transfer tape. This is, again, what I had on hand, and I like to reuse my products. I like to get the most out of the money I can get with it. Now right here on the bike, you'll see that I cut off the little luggage pack right there because their bike doesn't have it on there. And I was going to attempt to place the motorcycles before I did the whole wording, which is a big mistake, because you'll see right here when I realized, well, maybe I should put the love on one end with the faith in the other. That way I could get the spacing of hope good. And that's what you want to do even before you place your motorcycles, or if you decide to use a heart, a square, star, or a circle, or whatever you want to use in between them. Place your letterings down, or your wording down first. That way you get a good spacing in between them, and you know where to place your little what is it, your little images. Right here, you'll see what I'm talking about with the E. So I pulled off the L, O, and V on the other one that was cut off halfway on the L, and I place it right there on my transfer tape where the L-O-V, the good one, is. So it completes the whole word, and I don't have to use another cut and more vinyl to cut the same word when I can just fix it right there. Now right here, you can see that I start to transfer, well, I'm transferring the word hope to the transfer paper. And then I decide to place the motorcycle, which I was telling you earlier is a big mistake. I placed it too close to the L, and my intentions were to place the second motorcycle. And then I realized once again that it was going to be really close. So I line up the hope and do the spacing in between the words, and then that's how I figured out where it would be, where that motorcycle would be, fit perfect in between the faith and the hope. So then I do have to go back in, because like I said, I did place the motorcycle too close to the L in love, that I have to pull it up and replace it so it's spaced perfect, or well, as good as it can get between the word hope and love. And then right here you'll see what I was talking about. So to hang it up, I'm going to use this E6000, and I'm going to attach the picture hanger that I got in a kit from the Dollar Tree store. It's the picture hanging kit, and I'm going to press it down as close to the wood as I can get it to become. So this is going to be what the final product before I moved the motorcycle, and that's going to be what it looks like after I move the motorcycle. And I'm going to let that set aside and dry. It'll take probably about 24 to 72 hours to completely dry. So while that's drying up, we're going to start on this next one. I sanded off the wood filler, the speckle from the Dollar Tree, and we're just giving this a good coat front and back with the Waverly's antique wax. And inside of the pumpkin, that way it gives it, you know, a kind of like a third dimensional. And then I'm lining it up to the paper to where exactly where I want it. Now I'm cutting this because it's not going to be perfect in the back. I'm just cutting this as my guideline to where I know where the paper is going to sit when I glue it down. This word Hello Autumn was just like this welcome fall sign, and what I did to cut it, once again, like I said earlier, if you have a box cutter, that would be wonderful. You can cut it to do that. Me, I got a little too carried away and heavy-handed and used a pair of scissors, and I split the wood. So now I have to go back through with the Gorilla's wood glue and glue the word together. Now right here on this part, you're going to take 3 rows by 6. This is going to be the back of our picture, as basically the back of our frame. So we're taking the Gorilla's wood glue. You can take any wood glue that you happen to have on hand, or if you want, you can use your hot glue gun. But this is what I have on hand right now, and what was next to me was the Gorilla wood glue. I want it to be a little bit more of a stronger hold as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all 6 pieces and make 3 rows. So you're going to take 6 pieces per each row and make them one even row. To help get it straight, if you have the L-shaped the L-shaped rollers, then I would use those to get them as straight as possible, because these Jenga blocks, they're not cut perfect by the Dollar Tree store. Some are thicker, some are thinner, some are not cut straight. So what you're going to do next is you're going to go glue all 3 rows together, and I'm using extra glue because there are spaces in between, and I want this to be as tight of a glued as I can possibly get it. So while that's drying, we're going to use the Barely Art Provision, if I can say that right, the crafting glue, and we're just going to glue, because this is paper, we're going to just glue this onto the back of that pumpkin and get that set up. And we'll wood glue the word autumn to the top of the sign. It doesn't have to be perfect, and if you wanted to change it, paint it a different color, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted it to be this word as natural. I was going to paint it gold, but I think that's going to be too much, and I wanted it to pop. So what we're going to do is glue this part to the frame. Now I'm going to apply as much glue as I possibly can get, because I want it to stick and I want it to be very strong hold. And with clamps, we're going to clamp down all of the rising parts. That way it's going to be sitting flushed with the wood. So when it dries, it'll dry pretty flat or close to the wood as possible. And right here, I was planning on using some of these from the picture hanging kit that you can also get at the Dollar Tree store, but I ended up not doing that just because, one, I have long nails and it's a little bit tedious to apply pressure and screw those into the towering blocks. And then 2, I realized that I wanted this to be something that was going to sit on top of a table, or, wherever that you want to set a frame on versus hanging it up. So I ended up just not doing that. Instead, after I sanded down all of the glue and I went over everything with the Antique Wax by Waverly, I just ended up getting 4 more of the tumbling tower blocks and attaching those, making 2 rows of 2 and attaching those to the back. So this is going to be the final product. And thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Bye.